Skeleton Crew Episode 8 is here, and
Did we win?
yes, we did win. This Skeleton Crew show may be over, but this might go down as one of the best Star Wars shows we've ever received. In this finale stuck the landing. From Jod's backstory finally being revealed, to the pirates invading At-Aten, to the New Republic coming in and saving the day with an amazing Rebels reference. Now, we might not have seen Grand Admiral Thrawn or Din and Grogu or any other cameo like that, but this Skeleton Crew proved to us one thing. It definitely doesn't need any cameos. So without further ado, let's break this finale down, shall we? Episode 8 is titled The Real Good Guys. Now, the obvious reference here is the good guys, the New Republic, who show up at the end of the episode, but it's also referring to the Skeleton Crew themselves. Wim, Neil, KB, and Fern, because without them, the entire planet of At-Aten would be under the rule of Jod in the Pirates. Now, I'm going to say this multiple times in this breakdown video, but it needs to be said multiple times. These 4 kids did an incredible job in this series. I mean, to act this good at the age of 10, 11, or 12 is just insane. These 4 kids carried an over $100 million budget show. So a round of applause to those 4. But this 8th episode starts where episode 7 ended off, right down outside of one of the 1,139 vaults full of Old Republic credits that were created by an Old Republic mint on At-Aten. This mint was hidden away hundreds and hundreds of years ago by the Republic at the time and has since been lost.
Wow!
That is, until now. The final scene of episode 7 showed Jod igniting his lightsaber in front of the kids and their parents after they reunited. And with that cliffhanger last week in episode 7, fans were running wild. Is Jod going to execute Order 66 like Anakin did on the younglings on Coruscant?
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Or is he just proving to these people that he is a Jedi by flashing his nice blue lightsaber? Well, sadly, I guess not sadly, it was the second option, as the finale opens with the kids looking extremely concerned and angry at Jod. Because Jod igniting this lightsaber is reminding the kids of the threat that he made on the Onyx Cinder. If they say anything about him being a bad guy, he will slice and dice their parents. But Jod introduces himself to the parents, referring to himself as Jod Na Nawood, and we still don't even know if this is his real name. Jod has given out a ton of different aliases throughout this show, Captain Silvo, Crimson Jack, etc. So why would we believe that Jod Na Nawood is his real name? It might sound crazy, but 2024 might have given us 2 brand new badass characters and not given us either of their names, the Stranger and Jod Na Nawood. But the parents ask if the kids are in any trouble. Jod responds with, "I'm afraid they are. They stole a ship. They broke about every security protocol that they have on At-Aten. They put the secret of At-Aten at risk, and for those reasons, they have to be confined to their quarters, taken back to their houses, and be watched over by the safety droids. And all those droids will have to report back to Jod if the kids act up." But Jod is not letting these kids go without a hostage, as he requests Fern and Fern's mom, Farah, to accompany him to go meet the supervisor. We then cut back to Wim's house, where he's eating dinner with his dad. A home-cooked meal, as he puts it. "Looks like a microwave to me, Wendell." But as they are talking, Wim looks over at the safety droid, who is staring intently at them, making sure that Wim doesn't act up, as he will report everything he sees back to Jod. Now, this conversation between Wim and his dad might just feel like a throwaway scene, but it's not. Wendell keeps talking about this assessment that Wim has to take. He has to get a job to be a part of the great work. And in this scene, we really get the idea that Wim does not want to be on At-Aten anymore. As he screams at his dad, there is more to the galaxy than just the great work. Wim might actually end up going to join Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple, but we'll get to that later on in this video. But Wim tells his dad that there are certain people out in the galaxy that want to ruin what they have here on At-Aten. And Wendell's response is, yeah, that's what the supervisor is for. And oh, how wrong he is. We can then cut to Fern, Farah, and Jod on their way up an elevator to meet the supervisor. And on their way up, Farah says meeting the supervisor at such a young age is an incredible honor, implying that Farah has already met the supervisor, which is pretty interesting when we find out that the supervisor is a droid. And Farah doesn't seem to see the issue with them all being controlled by a droid. When they finally make it to the top, we are introduced to this supervisor droid. And Jod, again, introduces himself. He says he is Jod Na Nawood, an emissary for the Republic and a Jedi, as he sticks out his lightsaber and makes it float above his hand. A detail he probably should have kept to himself. Now, the supervisor reminds me of a few different things. One, Kevin from the MCU, as seen in She-Hulk. Also, Otto from the movie WALL-E. And most importantly, HAL 9000 from 2001's Space Odyssey, that the original Star Wars took a lot of influence from. So it's pretty poetic that AT-ATN in Skeleton Crew is controlled by a droid that looks very much like HAL 9000. But after Jod introduces himself to the supervisor, the droid responds with, "We were wondering if we would ever see an emissary again." To which Jod responds with, "Our apologies, we've had our hands full. They were thwarting many evils that scheme to destroy the Republic." But Jod needs one thing. It's the reason he came to the supervisor, to get his frigate inside of the barrier. So he asks the droid in front of him. But before the supervisor can answer, Farah chimes in and says, "Why couldn't your other ship just land like you did?" And Jod is not happy about that question, as he tells her to just obey her emissary. And this is where we get a pretty cool detail. The supervisor, when he looks at Farah in Fern, his light turns blue. But when he looks at Jod, it turns red, proving that since they walked in, he knew that Jod was a bad guy. But I guess this little blue and red light detail didn't save him from being destroyed, but we'll get to that. The supervisor tells Jod that his other ship can land as soon as he clears up this tiny little detail. The last message that they received on AT-ATN from the Republic stated that all the Jedi were traitors.
Execute Order 66.
Meaning the last communication with the outside galaxy on AT-ATN was over 25 years ago, when they got the transmission from the Republic that all Jedi were traitors during Order 66. Now this begs the question, if AT-ATN was still being used by the Republic during the time of the prequel trilogy all the way up until Order 66, did Palpatine know about it? How would he not? He was the Chancellor of the Republic. Isn't he supposed to know everything? That could become a very important detail as we move closer and closer to Grand Admiral Thrawn being the heir to the Empire. Because if Palpatine knew about AT-ATN, then the big blue meanie does as well. But the supervisor asks Jod, "So what are you lying about? Being the emissary or being a Jedi?" Checkmate. Jod knows he's in trouble. As Fern yells out, he's a pirate trying to invade the Mint. And the supervisor says, "As I expected." Sees this imposter, and the droids that are protecting the supervisor come to take out Jod. But Jod, as always, is referencing Qui-Gon Jinn as he turns around and puts his lightsaber through the supervisor's eye. Very much like Qui-Gon Jinn trying to get through the blast doors in The Phantom Menace. But as he removes his lightsaber from the droid, all the power on AT-ATN goes out. All the cars that are tied to the ground are no longer able to be used, and all the safety droids power down. But Jod still needs to turn the barrier off, and he finds a button that says barrier override on it. And up pops this lever. But Farah steps in front of it, saying that he can't do it because the barrier is essential for their survival. So instead, she will manually allow access for the pirate ship to come through the barrier just this one time, leaving the barrier up and AT-ATN remaining safe for now. And this is sort of the first of many times in this episode where Jod shows that he has a heart, as he tells them that he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He doesn't want to destroy anything. He just wants his ship to land. But having said that, he threatens to chop off Fern's head, and Farah agrees to allow the pirate ship in through the barrier. So Jod does his best Snoke impression, with a giant hologram being sent up to Gunter and the rest of the crew, and he tells them to get down here and begin the invasion. Now, as they fly down, we see these two ships stay behind. That's very important for later on when KB gets back up here. But we got to Wim, who has realized that the droids in his house have turned off, and he now knows that he can go tell his dad the truth, that Jod is a bad guy. And that's when they hear the frigate coming down from the sky. They run outside to see the pirate ship flying towards the main city, and we get what might be the best scene of the entire show, Neil in the bath. Again, as he looks up to see the pirate ship flying by too. But the ship wastes no time, opening fire on the pedestrians below. We then cut back to Wim and his dad trying to start up their car, but because all the power's out, the car is also off. But the hoverbikes are not. So Neil, KB, and Wim blast off to go save Fern. And when Wendell comes running out after the kids, we see the character of Bonj Alpha again. Ponch Falfa was first introduced in episode 1, and his character is based off of Harrison Ford's character from American Graffiti, George Lucas's second movie and last movie before Star Wars, as Harrison's character in that movie was named Bob Falfa. Another one of a million different cool little Easter eggs in this Skeleton Crew series. But Wendell takes Mr. Falfa's nice speeder and races off with the kids. The kids' plan is to get back to the Onyx Cinder and call out to Kim, the owl lady from episode 3, and ask for help from the X-Wings, or the New Republic. They have to get into the Onyx Cinder to get past the barrier because no communication is allowed to get through the barrier. We then see all the pirates landing on the surface and riling up all of the citizens. The plan here is to make them all still work on the Old Republic Mint and keep printing unlimited credits for them forever. We then get this awesome cool chase scene between KB, Wim, Neil, Wendell, and the pirates. And they chase them back into the woods where they first found the Onyx Cinder. But after they do this badass jump over the cliff that was left by the Onyx Cinder, taking off in episode 1, they end up by the school. And as the pirate Vane, who was first introduced in The Mandalorian Season 3, is chasing them down, shooting at them, they take their speeder bikes into the school. And as they are flying through the hallways, Neil's speeder bike blows up. But Neil is fine, and he has another plan. So he tells them to keep going. He also tells them that there's too many pirates and they're going to need some cover fire for when they take off in the Onyx Cinder. Now he's talking about the giant turbo laser that sits on top of the school. And the only reason he knows it's there is because in episode 4, when they go to Akron, his girlfriend shows him this turbo laser on top of the school on Akron. And all these jewels of the Old Republic, these 9 hidden planets, are all made the exact same. But as KB, Wim, and Wendell make it to the Onyx Cinder, they realize that they can't take off. And that's because it's been latched to the ground. And the only way to get the Onyx Cinder off the ground is by turning on the power. And the only place they can do that is in the supervisor's tower. Wim asks his dad if he knows how to turn it on. And Wendell drops the most badass line in Star Wars.
You are talking to a level 7 systems coordinator. Get the bike.
And while Wim and Wendell are on their way to the tower, we cut inside the tower to Fern and her mom having a conversation. Farah is telling Fern that this barrier was supposed to keep them safe from stuff like this happening. But Fern says, now we have to do something. We gotta save our home. She explains to her mom that everywhere they went, even the worst places, a war-torn planet, a booby-trapped lair on Lanupa, the worst of the worst, there were still good people. People that can help them. And she's referring to the New Republic, the X-Wings that they saw time and time again. Fern then pitches the idea that they should go over to the droids that have been deactivated and grab the blasters out of their hands. But their conversation is cut short by Jod shooting a blaster right over their head, telling them to stop scheming as he's giving an announcement to the people of Atten. He tells the people that they must obey his orders or else they will be punished. Everybody here now works for Jod. But Wim finally made his way to the top of the tower. And while his dad hides in the elevator, he tells Jod that he has called in the X-Wings. But Jod's not buying it, as he knows that the barrier jams all communications. But Wim makes up this crazy story about this crystal of the Founders. Now, when you hear crystal in Star Wars, you gotta think a Kyber crystal. But he explains this crystal of the Founder as something that they found that was guarded by an ancient warrior in the northern mountains. Quite the story. The only problem is, Wim doesn't know what he's talking about. As he says, you might as well surrender now because the entire Jedi army is on their way. And well, Wim, I hate to break it to you, but the Jedi army is gone. Because Palpatine, well, you know.
Execute Order 66.
And while this distraction's going on, Wendell is trying to turn on the power. And as he turns it on, the Onyx Cinder is freed. But without success, their attempt at stopping Jod is still a failure. And as KB takes off in the Onyx Cinder, we see that she brought back to life our good friend SM-33. Because at the end of the last episode, well, we know what happened. But as KB is trying to escape, the pirate frigate is about to shoot her down. That is, until she's saved by Neil, distracting them with the turbo laser on top of the school. And we see KB and SM-33 reach the outside of the barrier and contact Kim. She tells the owl that she's going to send her the coordinates and that they need backup immediately. They need the New Republic. And as she tells Kim that they're going to need to find a way inside the barrier, she gets shot down by the 2 pirate ships that remained outside the barrier. She begins to fall to her death as we see Fern and Wim crying as she hits the surface. I'm going to be completely honest with you, I thought KB was dead in this scene. But Jod reminds them that it doesn't matter because these X-Wings that show up are not going to be able to get through the barrier, as Fern tries to go run for the lever that will turn off the barrier. and Jod shoots his blaster to kill Fern, but Farah saves her. Wendell then charges at Jod, who he fairly easily pushes to the side, and Wim is the only hope. But as he goes to grab the lever, Jod puts his lightsaber up to Wendell's head. And this is finally when we get the backstory to Jod Na Nawood. As Wim looks at him with tears running down his face, as he says, "You are no Jedi, you lied." And now the real good guys are on their way. But Jod gets angry. And he says, "When I was your age, all I cared about was not starving. I was living in a hole in the ground, and then a Jedi found me. She may have been desperate and ragged like me, but she told me that I had potential. And well, she was only able to teach me a little before they hunted her down and made me watch as they killed her." That's the galaxy. It's dark. Now we get a lot of information about Jod's backstory here. Yes, he was trained by a Jedi, but after Order 66, when that Jedi was being hunted down, likely by Inquisitors, who killed this Jedi in front of Jod. Now, he does say she, and we don't really know who he's referring to, but it has to be a Jedi who survived Order 66, but didn't last too long. So it can't be Ahsoka. Maybe it could be Asajj Ventress. We don't know when she dies. But it also could be a brand new character or somebody else that I'm not thinking of, so tell me in the comments. And Jod tells Wim that he will do what he has to do, kill who he has to kill to succeed in this dark galaxy. So Wim takes his hand off of the lever and Jod retracts his lightsaber. But we then get to see another scene where Jod seems to have a heart. As he says, "I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to damage this wonderful planet. I want you to all go back to work making credits. I'll get back to this so-called great work." Obviously, Jod is a bad guy, but now after hearing his backstory, it's almost like he's just trying to make his way in this galaxy.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
But as Jod is going on this little tangent, Wendell gets mad. After he just held a lightsaber up to his head, I'd be mad too. But he stands up and punches Jod in the face, causing his lightsaber to go flying across the room. And as Wim goes for the lightsaber, Wendell is going for the lever. But as Wim picks up the lightsaber, Jod uses the Force to try and grab it out of his hands. But more importantly, he needs to keep the barrier up, so he focuses on Wendell. But Fern's mom, Farah, comes to the rescue as they finally pull the lever. And Jod realizes he's defeated. And as the barrier comes down, 8 X-Wings from the New Republic and 2 B-Wings come flying in. Now, these B-Wings are a direct connection to Star Wars Rebels, specifically now a general of the New Republic, Hera Syndulla, as Hera once piloted the prototype for these B-Wings, as we see these red lasers coming off of them. Now, although we didn't get any crazy cameos from the New Republic in this finale like a Hera Syndulla, this nod to the character is pretty damn cool. Now we get the New Republic coming in to save the day, the X-Wings taking down the pirates, and the pirate frigate being taken down. The action sequences in this show, I mean, they're top tier. But back in the Supervisor's Tower, even after all that Jod has done to them, Wim still calls out to him as they are leaving, almost as if he still sees a glimmer of hope, much like a Jedi. And crazily enough, Wim also is leaving with the lightsaber that they found in Tak Rened's lair. So Jod no longer has a lightsaber, and now Wim does. More evidence to me that Wim might just be going to become a Jedi Padawan at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple, but again, we'll get to that in a little bit. We then get what could be the coolest shot of the entire show, where Jod is watching his frigate fall with the look of defeat on his face. Although Jod will survive, he is now likely going to be a prisoner of the New Republic. But Fern and Wim meet up with Neil at the school where the Onyx Cinder crashed into. And as it opens up, all these Republic credits come rolling out, and so does KB. Yes, KB survived, and as she wakes up, she says,
"Did we win?"
And as they are leaving, Fern says, "Hey, look, Wim, now you don't have to worry about assessment, because their school is pretty much destroyed, and so is their entire livelihood. The barrier is gone. The supervisor is dead. Who knows what their life is going to look like tomorrow?" But Wim looks up through the hole in the school and sees X-Wings fly by and a New Republic cruiser coming in. Now, some fans thought this might have been Leia's Tantive 4 ship, but that has red accents and this ship has blue. But Wim, looking up at these ships, makes me think that he's going to be leaving at joining either the New Republic or, like I said before, Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple. As yes, now he does own a lightsaber, and his fascination with the Jedi throughout the course of this Skeleton Crew series makes me believe that he might be Force sensitive. But tell me what you think in the comments, as the New Republic has arrived, and now At-Aten is no longer hidden, and it's likely the New Republic will use all these credits that they have to benefit the Republic. But that ends the episode and ends Skeleton Crew. Right now, it was only a limited series. But will it get a second season? And do you want a second season? Tell me what you think in the comment section. And I must say it again, these 4 kids' performance throughout this entire series has been spectacular, carrying this show even in scenes without Jude Law in them. But this series as a whole will go down as one of the best Star Wars shows we've ever seen, setting up these 4 main kid characters and Jude Law's character of Jod to show up in other Star Wars projects moving forward. And this was the perfect end cap to the series. Yes, I wanted to see Grand Admiral Thrawn show up, or any other New Republic cameo like Carson Teva, Din and Grogu, or Harrison Dula. But honestly, that's not what this show is about. It doesn't need to rely on cameos. It's much like The Mandalorian Season 1, where the story can speak for itself. It doesn't need any cameos to be as good as it is. And it ended with a bang. The last 2 episodes of the series being my favorite, and I actually ranked them the exact same. I give episode 8 a 9.5 out of 10. The practically perfect ending to an incredible show. But tell me what you rate this episode out of 10 in the chat, and what do you rank this entire series out of 10? Tell me in the comment section below. And there's a lot more that you might have missed from this entire series, but episode 7 in particular was a big one, and I break down that entire episode in this video right here.